Attacks overnight. We are getting our first look right now this morning at the aftermath of that attack in Ukraine's capital and other regions. That's this right here, the destruction you see happening in that country.
Well, President Joe Biden is condemning what he calls an unprovoked and unjustified attack by Russian military forces. Russian President Vladimir Putin announced a military operation that he says to protect the Donbas separatist-held region of Ukraine in an emergency meeting last night. Members of the UN Security Council condemned Russia's actions, and Ukraine has introduced martial law while urging people to remain calm. President Biden will deliver remarks on his crisis later this afternoon.
Also breaking, take a look at this new video that we are just getting into our newsroom this morning. It shows Russian tanks and armored vehicles appearing to enter Ukraine near the city of Senkivka this morning. The border checkpoint is about 140 miles north of Ukraine's capital city of Kiev.
An online broadcast also showed several vehicles entering Belarus. Ukrainian officials are calling on residents to join the country's defense forces. And this is a raw video that we are just getting in of 4 lanes of heavy traffic building up in that city, heading out west of the city this morning. Cars are moving slowly, almost at a standstill, as Russian forces make their ways into Ukraine.
President Joe Biden spoke by phone with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky after Russia's military action into Ukraine. The president briefed Zelensky on the steps the U.S. is taking to rally international condemnation. Zelensky asked Joe Biden to call on world leaders to speak out clearly against Putin's flagrant aggression and to stand with the people of Ukraine.
And oil prices are on the rise in the wake of Russia's attack. U.S. crude oil jumped overnight by 5% to $96 a barrel. Brent oil, the global benchmark, went up by 5% to $102 per barrel. That's the first time since 2014 that the Brent mark crossed $100.
The rise in oil is just another hit for consumers as inflation continues. You can also expect woes in the supply chain with wheat and grain prices going up, meaning that you might be paying even more for essentials at the grocery store. Russia and Ukraine together produce more than 25% of the world's wheat exports and nearly 20% of the corn exports. North Dakota's congressional leaders are reacting to Russia's attack on Ukraine. U.S. Senator Kevin Cramer says Vladimir Putin has no right to invade Ukraine and impose Russia's will on the freedom-loving people of Ukraine. Cramer says the U.S. needed sanctions months ago to ward off this type of action and now must implement strong primary and secondary sanctions immediately.
Congressman Kelly Armstrong tweeted overnight that the Ukrainian people want peace, but Putin has chosen war. Armstrong says America, its allies, must stand strong in support of Ukraine. They deserve freedom.
Now 6:52 on this Thursday morning. Let's get a check of your forecast. Dangerously cold in the valley this morning, Lisa.
Yet again, we're dealing with that cold, and I think this live view in Fargo kind of tells this story. We've got clear skies, the exhaust off the buildings, a truck down there with a plow, pushing some snow, trying to clean up here as we've been recovering from our latest rounds. It's just been a rough go of it, and now we're dealing with the cold. At least the sky's pretty. We've got that gorgeous sunrise happening here earlier and earlier. Here's a look at our travel today. I think things are looking pretty good, aside from the fact that it's frigid and dangerously cold, especially this morning. So we've got that caution yellow light for you here to start off today because of that. Want to make sure you give yourself plenty of time to get to where you need to be. There's still some icy and snowy patches on the roads. We see those temperatures come up a little bit. It's less hazardous as we go through the day and travel much, much better than earlier in the week. Not necessarily completely clear, but certainly a lot better. Again, it is cold out there, though. Check out these temperatures and wind chills. In Fargo, 13 below is our current temperature. It feels like 27 below when we factor in a very light wind. Grand Forks, the temperature itself, 22 below, and it feels more like 36 below with a 5-mile-per-hour speed. So it's very light, but it does have a big impact. Thief River Falls, no wind, so our air temperature 23 below, so is our wind chill. Same thing in Bemidji, but look how cold our temperature in Bemidji is itself. 34 below right now to start off there. That's our coldest number that we've been reporting this morning. Fergus Falls 15 below, a wind chill of 27 below zero, and Devil's Lake is at 15 or 17 below rather here, and light wind there, not really impacting your wind chill at the moment. That of course will be changing here as we see winds from time to time. And speaking of wind chills, we've got some headlines for you again this morning. A wind chill warning in purple. That's in the northern part of the valley up along the Canadian border and back over into the Devil's Lake region. Grand Forks Forks, Fargo included in that wind chill advisory in blue. That covers a good portion of the north central part of the U.S. And checking out your radar and satellite map, very quiet in the valley. There are some clouds lifting into the south, and that's an area where we'll see some cloud cover from time to time on the very northern fringe of a system that's pushing through South Dakota. So a cold wait out at the bus stop yet again today. We're looking at temperatures into the teens, 20s, even 30s like in Bemidji, below zero this morning. At Fargo, into the teens below with some mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies. This afternoon, back into the positive side, but only by a couple of degrees. We're looking at a high of about 2. Lots of sun, and the big factor again today is the light wind. It stays light all day despite changing direction. That's all the change we'll see in it. It should be not too impactful as we go through the day, other than this morning where even that light wind does have some real implications for your wind chills. Heading through the day today and into tomorrow, we'll watch as temperatures drop for one more night down into that frigid range again for your Friday morning, and then we start to see things turn around. We start warming up late with an approaching system that will bring a bit of a breeze heading into Saturday, but it will also warm us up. Behind it, we step back slightly in our temperatures, but as we head into Monday and start the month of March, we are looking at some milder conditions ahead to look forward to. Just got to get really through the next 24 hours before we start to see that warming.
All right, looking forward to the warmer weather when it comes. Lisa, thank you this morning.
Well, time now is 6:55. New this morning, an elderly North Dakota man is dead following a car semi-crash in Candy, Ojai County near Twin Cities. The Minnesota State Patrol says a victim died when his pickup collided with a semi at the highway intersection near New London yesterday afternoon.
Troopers are not releasing the man's name yet, but they do say he was an 82-year-old man from Minot. The semi driver was not hurt. The State Patrol plans to release more information this afternoon. The judge overseeing the federal trial of 3 former Minneapolis police officers charged with violating George Floyd's civil rights has sealed the names of the jurors for at least 10 years. Federal law allows him to do so in the interest of justice, and the judge says this is clearly such a case because of the significant public attention this trial has generated.
Jurors are heading back to the courtroom this morning for a second day of deliberations. J. Alexander King, Thomas Lane, and Totow are charged with depriving Floyd of his right to medical care when he was pinned to the ground for 9.5 minutes as fellow officer Derek Chauvin pressed his knee into Floyd's neck. There's new information on a deadly apartment fire in South Fargo. Police are now identifying her as 59-year-old Kay Holtman. Someone called 911 Sunday night around 6:30 saying they could see flames coming from the window in the 1800 block of 13.5 Street.
Fire crews discovered the body as they put out flames in a lower level unit. There is no word yet from fire officials about how that fire started. In an effort to protect students, Minnesota is awarding $50 million to schools to install cameras on their school bus stop arms.
They say frequency in which drivers ignore the law is a public safety crisis. The Valley Today's JC Dodd. She joins us live this morning from one of those first schools to get the state to get the money. Good morning, JC.
Good morning, guys. Now, Minnesota public safety officials just announced that $3.5 million in state funds will go to 32 different schools and school bus companies across the state of Minnesota to install stop arm cameras and software to catch drivers who blow past and ignore when these things are pulled out, extended, and those lights are flashing red. Now, Underwood here in Minnesota is one of those 32 to get these stop arm cameras, and they have 7 buses across the district, over 600 students. And how much money are you looking to get from the state, and how many cameras total?
We are getting 5 cameras, and the cost will be $5,500.
And why was this a problem? Why did you want to apply specifically for this grant?
We see a need for it all the time. We have indoor cameras on our buses, but we don't have a way to catch people passing the bus. So now with the stop arm cameras, we will be able to get their license plate.
Absolutely, and you're going to work closely with Otter Tail County Sheriff's Department and try and catch these people that are blowing past the stop signs?
Right. In fact, they're already helping us patrol some areas.
Awesome. Well, this will just provide video evidence for them.
Right.
Awesome. Thank you. Now, phase 2 has already begun. Applications close on March 15th, and then phase 3 will begin July 1st. And Jordan, Phoenix, that's $7.5 million in funds. So there's more money to come and more money to give.
Well, thank you.
all in an effort to keep students safe as they wait for the bus. JC Dodd reporting live. Thank you.
Well, attention snowbirds are telling you again, get your car out of the way of snowplows or run the risk of getting towed. Fargo street crews moved on the downtown streets overnight to clean up after this week's back-to-back snowstorms.
Cars in the way were towed. The same thing will happen again tomorrow night. Crews worked streets this time. They will move next to those east-west avenues in the city. Now, those in the metro are also asking drivers all over the city to move their cars so plows can clear those roads. The Today Show and CBS Mornings are just about to start, but the Valley Today rolls on. We have more live up-to-the-minute news and weather for you. Coming up right now on the Fargo CW, that's where Lisa Green is tracking the intense cold settling in on the region. Have a great day and stay warm.